Welcome to Daily Pulse, where we keep your finger on the pulse of the latest breaking news and the news they are definitely keeping from you. A quick reminder to head on over to Rumble to watch our full show. If you're not subscribed to our channel yet, do so right now to catch our no-holds-barred reporting brought to you by the Vigilant Fox and Zeee Media. Tonight, the global self-proclaimed elites are now telling us to prepare for food rationing. Tucker Carlson apologizes for endorsing Trump, and Palantir publishes a creepy manifesto calling for a mandatory draft. Let's get into the Daily Pulse. Good evening, our fellow panicans and people who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Well, the warnings that people who have the nerve to tell you the truth for months have been giving are coming to fruition. We now have warnings from the self-proclaimed elites that the global population needs to start preparing for food rationing. So yes, there are going to be massive disruptions to the globe, as we have been telling you for months now. This is absolutely the beginnings of the Great Reset, the plan to confine us into our 15-minute locations, make it near impossible for us to afford absolutely anything. And now we're being told, hey, food is going to be difficult for you to obtain, therefore you need to prepare for food rationing. Here is a message from Christine Lagarde, the chief of the European Central Bank, telling all of the people these people view as peasants that they need to prepare for food rationing. Take a listen.
A third of the fertilizers is shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that is also at risk. And it matters particularly in the southern hemisphere, where the planting and therefore the fertilizers is badly needed now. I'm not saying that just out of interest for agriculture. Don't forget, I was Minister of Agriculture in France for a month and a half. But because it matters to me as a central banker now. Because if the price of food increases significantly, it is not going to just be the price of food, it is going to be inflation expectations. Because we know that people are particularly attentive to two things: the price of food, processed and unprocessed, and the price of gas at the petrol station. So here are three indirect consequences of what's happening in the energy world. So if the disruption persists long enough, the adjustment shifts from prices, which we are putting up with now, to possibly rationing, with very different economic consequences. Higher prices are primarily inflationary. Shortages hit output directly and are worse for growth.
But in case you think this is isolated to some third world country in Eastern Europe, no, the UK has been told to prepare for World War II-style food rationing by a government advisor. It says the UK has been told to prepare for World War II-style food rationing. Tim Lang, Professor of Food Policy at the University of London, who's been a member of several government bodies, including the UK Council of Food Policy Advisors, has spoken out. Mr. Lang told The Sun that the UK has next to no food storage and said if the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz carries on, the UK's food supply chain will quietly seize up and there will have to be choices made by government, by retailers, and by food manufacturers. He added, rationing is an extreme option. We had to do it in World War II. I think we should be preparing for that and we should be thinking about it. We haven't done it for 70 years. And in case you think this is just one government advisor saying these things, no. Leaked government plans show that multiple government departments in the UK are actually preparing for food shortages. This is from ITV. It says government reportedly drawing up worst case scenario plans for food shortages. The UK is drawing up plans to prepare for worst case scenario food shortages should the Iran war continue into the summer, and many are expecting this to be a very long-lasting war. A leak of government plans seen by The Times shows senior officials from multiple multiple government departments have been examining the potential impact on British industry should the Strait of Hormuz remain closed. Though the war is not likely to lead to critical shortages, a reasonable worst-case scenario from leaked government plans suggests there could be less variety on supermarket shelves should fighting continue. In true mainstream media fashion, they are saying this is not likely. Of course, ITV is a major broadcaster in the UK, so the government is definitely interested in keeping people's fears low, because if people understood the true impacts that this war is going to have around the world, there would be outrage in every single country right now. But it's not just the UK government, and it's not just the European Central Bank. We have the World Food Programme projecting food insecurity could reach record levels as a result of Middle East escalation. This is from March. They say that roughly 45 million more people could be pushed into acute hunger if this year, if conflict persists. They say that global numbers of food insecure people could reach levels last seen at the start of the Ukraine war. We think it'll be much more than that. And import-dependent countries in Africa and Asia are most at risk of increased hunger, rather. It goes on to say that the World Food Programme is warning that the total number of people around the world facing acute levels of hunger could reach record numbers in 2026 if the escalation in the Middle East continues to destabilize the world's economy. And then, of course, we also have the Food and Agriculture Organization, a UN agency, warning the Strait of Hormuz crisis could take months to stabilize costs. In fact, they say disruption to the global commodity flows could persist even if the US-Israeli war on Iran ends now. So they are saying that regardless, even if it ended today, we are going to see disruption to food and agriculture. And of course, Christine Lagarde is saying that we definitely need to start preparing for food shortages as a result of all of this. And here's an article about the Food and Agriculture Organization chief economist warning of severe global food security risks from disruption to Strait of Hormuz trade corridor. This is the chief economist of the FAO of the United Nations, Maximo Torero, warned that the ongoing disruption to the Strait of Hormuz trade corridor is triggering one of the most severe shocks to global commodity flows in recent years, with significant implications for food security, agricultural production, and global markets. Now, whether you think this is a manufactured situation or not, it seems at this point the outcome is inevitable. Make no mistake about it, when you have this many statements about food shortages and now rationing, and again, this is the head of a central bank telling us food rationing is coming, that is nothing short of extremely concerning. They do not make these statements for no reason, and no doubt they'll have some sort of solution to this crisis already planned out that spells more control. Perhaps it could look like, eventually, government bread lines, where your qualification for receiving your handful of grain may require a digital ID, for example. Would you be considered essential to qualify for these so-called rations that they're so generously handing out to the plebeians? I wonder if the heads of these central banks will be on rations. We all know the answer to that. And we don't claim to know exactly how this will play out, but we do know about the many published documents, reports, and white papers detailing the plan to limit the population's calorie intake, as well as the types of food people will be allowed to consume under this new system. Thus, this crisis is creating the perfect storm for these lab-grown meat-growing psychopaths. What we also know and believe wholeheartedly is that the more self-sufficient that people can become in this time, the less likely they will be willing to comply with whatever strings are attached to the rations. Grow your own food. If possible, have some animals. Stock up. They're not just telling you it's coming, they're actively preparing for it and have been for some time. Get ahead of it while you can. If there's one thing we can learn from the Epstein files, it's that there are two tiers in this country. One for regular people and one for the rich and connected. And that divide doesn't stop in the courtroom, it runs straight through the financial system. While most people stay distracted, the wealthy keep multiplying their net worth. One of the fastest ways they've done that is through cryptocurrency. For years, crypto has been a playground for experienced traders to capitalize on everyday investors who panic sell at the worst possible moment. But now, everyday people can finally be on a level playing field. Animus AI, available through BlockTrust IRA, analyzes market data and executes trades with precision most investors can't match. Since 2022, it has outperformed Bitcoin by 250%. In 2025 alone, BlockTrust IRA helped create over 80,000 new millionaires. And right now, our viewers can receive $2,500 in bonus crypto instantly when they open a qualifying account through dailypulsecrypto.com. Start supercharging your retirement today. Take the first step at dailypulsecrypto.com. That's dailypulsecrypto.com. At the core of Palantir's belief system, they have expressed on many occasions that they would love to be able to decide who gets to live and who gets to die. This is what some of their surveillance systems that have been integrated into the military are about. And Alex Karp, the head himself, has said that he dreams of dropping fentanyl-laced urine on his enemies using drones. So keep that in mind as we take you through this recently published manifesto where they are calling for a mandatory draft. So here's a bit of a summary from The Guardian, as well as some people in the UK responding to it. It says, Palantir manifesto described as ramblings of a supervillain amid UK contract fears. Alarm caused by posts of Alex Karp, tech firm CEO, championing US military dominance and of AI weapons. The US spy tech company Palantir published a manifesto extolling the benefits of American power and implying some cultures are inferior to others in what MPs have called a parody of a RoboCop film and the ramblings of a supervillain. Some cultures have produced vital advances. Others remain dysfunctional and regressive, wrote Palantir in a 22-point post on X over the weekend, which also called for an end to the post-war neutering of Germany and Japan. The Post exhorted the US to reinstate a military draft, saying that, quote, free and democratic societies need hard power in order to prevail. It also predicted a future dominated by autonomous weapons. The question is not whether AI weapons will be built, it is who will build them and for what purpose. Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security applications. They will proceed. Well, the pronouncement is the most recent of a number of high-profile statements from Palantir and its chief executive Alex Karp, which appear to indicate that Karp views himself as not simply the head of a software company, but a pundit with important insights into the future of civilization. Yes, he absolutely does view himself that way. It led to criticism from several MPs who said that it raised yet more questions about the UK's portfolio of contracts with the company. Palantir has built up more than £500 million in contracts in Britain, including a £330 million contract with the NHS, as well as deals with the police and Ministry of Defence. These deals have come in for increasing criticism. The criticism doesn't matter, they just keep doing it. Palantir's manifesto, which embraces AI state surveillance of citizens along with national service in the USA, is either a parody of a RoboCop film or a disturbing narcissistic rant from an arrogant organization, said Martin Wrigley, a Liberal Democrat MP who is a member of the Commons Science and Technology Select Committee. Either way, it shows that the company's ethos is entirely unsuited to working on UK government projects involving citizens' most sensitive private data. It finishes here by saying it's unclear what inspired Palantir to publish the manifesto, which appears to reprise Karp's book, The Technological Republic, published last year. That book laments a widespread complacency among engineers and founders who build photo sharing apps as opposed to collaborating with governments to secure the West's dominant place in the geopolitical order. In an interview with CNBC in early March, Karp suggested that AI would disrupt the power of, quote, highly educated, often female voters who vote mostly Democrat and instead empower, quote, vocationally trained working class, often male working class voters. So here's the actual post from Palantir, and they're saying, because we get asked a lot, the technological republic in brief. Well, who's asking them a lot? Hey, Palantir, we know that you are the spy chiefs, or at least one of them, of the entire world who want to implement a worldwide surveillance state. What do you actually want to achieve here? Well, it's quite clear what is being built here. It is a place, a world where you cannot move an inch without Palantir surveilling you 24/7, maybe even surveilling your thoughts. I mean, that is the opinion of so many people around the world. So who's actually asking them, can you please clarify what you mean about dropping fentanyl-laced urine on your enemies by drones? We'd just like to know what it is that you actually want to achieve that's good here. And also just pay attention to this language. The Technological Republic. So again, that's the title of his book, but he is talking about, if you recall from our previous report, the technocracy movement, the vision of these technocrats where the world will be ruled by a scientific elite and people won't have to work, and you'll be issued a UBI or UHI, as Elon calls it, which is out there telling everyone, you won't have to work, you'll be able to do whatever you want, and it'll be great. You'll just get free money from the government, and there won't be any strings attached. Don't worry about it. This is what they're building. They are absolutely expecting that democracies and republics, democratic republics, will become irrelevant. By the looks of things, this is how they're writing, because they're now telling you about a new technological republic. And this is exactly the movement that Elon Musk's grandfather was involved in, dating back all the way to the 1930s. And if you missed our expose on that, we're going to link it in the description below. We highly recommend people watch that series. So we're not going to read through every single point, but have a look at some of this language. They say that Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation. So their moral debt that they owe is to become integrated with the military, is what they're saying here. They say that we need to rebel against the tyranny of the apps. Is the iPhone our greatest creative, if not crowning achievement as a civilization? The object has changed our lives, but it may also now be limiting and constraining our sense of the possible. Really? Why? Because you want to integrate phones into our brains? As Musk has said previously, iPhones will become irrelevant. Everyone will become integrated with AI. And we just so happen to be putting Neuralink facilities near ICE facilities. Really bizarre, by the way. What exactly do they mean by that, and what are their plans for that? And they say that free email is not enough. The decadence of a culture or civilization, and indeed its ruling class, will be forgiven only if that culture is capable of delivering economic growth and security for the public. Don't worry about God. Don't worry about forgiveness through Jesus Christ. You're only going to be forgiven if you accept a UBI, where we can give you free money and free stuff and you don't have to work. And we promise there's no strings attached to that. You won't have to get regular injections from the new vaccine mandate, Queen's mandates that Trump has picked. You won't have to do that. You're just going to get it for free and there's no strings attached. And that's the only way you'll be forgiven, if you join our beast system. Wow, this is so messed up. Again, just a few more of these points. Point 6, national service should be a universal duty. We should, as a society, seriously consider moving away from an all-volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. Of course, this won't include those sending your sons and in some case daughters to die. It's going to include everyone that's subjected to this new system where everyone is tracked, surveilled, and required to go and die in what they're calling the next war, because there's going to be more of them. Public servants need not be our priests, guys. We need the technological elite to be our priests, not public servants. And they go on to say that we should show far more grace towards those who have subjected themselves to public life. The eradication of any space for forgiveness, a jettisoning of any tolerance for the complexities and contradictions of the human psyche may leave us with a cast of characters at the helm we will grow to regret. So just forgive Peter Thiel, who had serious Epstein associations, everyone. We need to forgive these people. Forget about the priests in politics. Let's let's select the technological class to be our priests and forgive them for being part of the Epstein class as well, guys. That's the only way that we're going to thrive. And point 17, Silicon Valley must play a role in addressing violent crime. Many politicians across the US have essentially shrugged when it comes to violent crime, abandoning any serious efforts to address the problem or take on any risk with their constituencies or donors in coming up with solutions and experiments in what should be a desperate bid to save lives, everyone. That's what Palantir really cares about. Here's the CEO of Palantir, by the way, who's telling us all of these things. Like, this is the guy. Have a look.
What should I do? Should I not do anything?
That would have been it.
That's great.
So this cringe, middle-aged man playing with his sword in the lobby, who at times displays psychopathic tendencies, and his company, which is now embedded, it seems, into all Western governments, is going to tell you about mandatory military service, mandatorily sending our kids off to die in the next war, the requirement to forgive the Epstein class and submit to the priests of technocracy, while their other chief, Peter Thiel, is gallivanting around the world lecturing in closed-door, secret, exclusive conferences about the Antichrist. All perfectly normal stuff, guys. We'll do that stuff, don't we? At this point, it seems inevitable that this AI world domination with data centers in tow all over the planet is in process. They are in process of their takeover. It's just a matter of time before the Terminator reality becomes apparent. But for anyone paying attention, it's already here. The only solutions at this point are at a local level, resisting the data centers, becoming as useful as possible in the workforce, our younger generation becoming experts in the trades again, working your land and being self-sufficient. Additionally, in any way possible, log off, survive outside of the beast system, and prepare for more deception. Go to church, love Jesus. When financial markets become unstable, the real question isn't just how much wealth you have. The real question is how much of it you actually control. Stocks, funds, and retirement accounts all depend on financial institutions, trading windows, and market liquidity. And as recent events have shown, when too many investors rush for the exits at once, access to that money can suddenly slow down. That's why many smart investors are turning to physical gold and silver, not to get rich quick, but for stability and the reassurance that their wealth won't be locked up when they need it most. And that's where Genesis Gold Group comes in. Genesis Gold Group is a Christian, faith-based company dedicated to helping Americans protect their savings and diversify their wealth with physical gold and silver. Their team walks you through the entire process step by step, making it simple to roll over an existing IRA or 401k into a gold IRA, own real physical gold and silver stored in secure vaults, and diversify part of your savings outside traditional financial markets. And you can feel confident knowing Genesis Gold Group maintains an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Right now, they're offering viewers a free financial survival report. There's no obligation, just clear information so you can decide whether precious metals belong in your long-term strategy. Because the goal isn't panic, the goal is preparation. You can't control when the next financial shock arrives, but you can decide how your portfolio is positioned before it does. Visit dailypulsegold.com to speak with a Genesis Gold specialist or request your free financial survival report today. That's dailypulsegold.com, dailypulsegold.com. The number of former fervent Trump supporters speaking out is on the increase, and really this started some time ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene being one major notable example, who throughout her entire political career stood by Trump through thick and thin, entered politics for the man, and was completely dedicated to the political agenda he claimed to espouse for years prior to his most recent election. It seems the attacks on her by the president is something no one could forget and no reasonable person could support, given everything she endured for supporting him. Well, yesterday, Tucker Carlson released an interview with his brother Buckley in which he made a really stunning statement, which we will discuss in a moment. But first, we wanted to play something Tucker revealed during the interview about MTG that many people were not previously aware of. Take a listen.
And then, of course, he turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I think of all the elected members of Congress represents in sincere, hardworking fashion what it meant to be a not Trump fan, but a Trump lieutenant. I mean, this was someone who was inspired by Donald Trump and Donald Trump's program to leave her successful business, run for Congress, and thank God for her, because she got there and discovered what a captured institution it is, how flawed the individuals there are, how hostile they are to the American people who put them there, and specifically the Republican voters who'd put them there. And then to see Trump turn on her and treat her the way that he treated her was, you know, she's an individual and she's tough and she can handle it. But that kind of like repetitive, crazy disloyalty, and to treat someone who had actually put themselves to hard work to great effect was unforgivable, I thought. That's when I really started.
She texted Trump and she said, my son is getting threats because I've disagreed with you on the Epstein files. And Trump responded to her by text message and said, he deserves it. It's your fault. People are threatening the kid's life. And Trump says, no. You brought this on him. It's on you.
That's disgusting. It's outrageous. I didn't know that. It's terrible. It's terrifying, too, actually, to be so tone deaf, to be so evil, but to also be so tone deaf.
So, according to Tucker, and you would presume he'd seen those text messages because you're talking about a pretty serious lawsuit coming his way if he's lying about that. So you would assume that there's evidence of that. Maybe not. But we know that President Trump is not a stranger to suing media outlets if they lie about him. According to Tucker, that was in relation to Marjorie Taylor Greene pressing for the release of the Epstein files, something that President Trump himself said he would do. And this was a breaking point for a lot of former MAGA that we noted at the time, just assessing public sentiment. We know that there are still people that think that these are leftist talking points or Democrat talking points or whatever left-right nonsense people still want to believe in. We deal in the realm of reality, and the fact is that a lot of people were mad at this time. Well, Tucker's gone a step further now, and he's actually issued a public apology for endorsing Trump. Take a listen.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people, and it was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, but the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like, clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
But it didn't, there are tons of people of low character who like outperform their character. It doesn't have to be.
Sort of the norm, actually, these days, I would say.
I've outperformed my character a lot. I don't have especially high character, right? But, you try to, whatever, you try your best. But what was this? Was this always the plan?
Looking back after the last year and a half, it seems like it kind of was. And it's easy. Well, you could get really deep about it and say, what was Butler? Like, how was it that and Ryan Ruth, I mean, he was subject to 2 legitimate assassination attempts. Have we ever gotten to the bottom? I know you've talked a lot about this, but have we ever gotten to the bottom of that?
I haven't talked a lot about it. I don't know the answer, but I know that those investigations have been stymied. Fact.
Yeah, stymied from the very top, from people who actually would have the power to get to the bottom of it.
And the motive.
Yes,
right. Yeah,
very much. So the enormous amount of money he got from Miriam Adelson now seems suspect to a lot of people at the time. But, there's a lot of money in politics. To run for president requires an enormous, Cackling Camel Toe went through $2 billion in 4 months. So, sure, there's an argument to be made that you get money from those who will give it to you. It's just the nature of that game. But it's still reprehensible, and it's still a big question mark. Why would someone who has obvious and demonstrated allegiance to a foreign power give Donald Trump $250 million while he's running for president? How is that defensible? It's really not. If Russia had given a PAC for Trump, if the mayor of Moscow had somehow assembled an enormous amount of money and put it in a 501c3 for Trump's benefit, would that have been acceptable? Of course it wouldn't have been. So what does it's so basic, comes back to the money. Like, what did they get in return for that amount of investment? And it's clear.
I get it. No, of course, I agree with every word that you're saying. I just think, given his behavior and his demonstrated disloyalty and viciousness to previous supporters.
Yes.
Why wouldn't he display the same lack of loyalty to Miriam Adelson? That's kind of the question. The only people he's been loyal to are the neocons and his donors.
Whilst there is obviously great division at this point through the conservative movement, if you will, the Republican supporters or Trump MAGA supporters, there are still many out there saying that they still support Trump, yet just do not agree with some of his current agendas. They want him to fulfill his campaign promises, which is why they voted for him. He's essentially closed the border, and props to him for that. Great. But there isn't much else that is solely for the direct benefit of the American people happening or planned. We're nearing the midterms, so there will be a lot of political speeches and promises upcoming. Lots of words people want to hear, but the overwhelming sentiment we are seeing is the people don't want more words and promises. They want fulfillment of what was already promised. We're going to be hearing a lot of vote for us in the midterms. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. At this point, it seems the people will accept nothing less than vote for us in the midterms because we did this and we did that. And this and that should entail nothing less than America first. Are you protected in a world where threats of EMPs, solar flares, 5G, and all types of EMF are interfering with our very existence? Escape the grid with Escape Zone, bringing you the highest quality Faraday technology for ultimate preparedness. Choose when and where your devices are detectable. Faraday bags protect you from EMPs, car theft, card and device skimming, identity theft, tracking, Bluetooth, and GPS. Choose from premium mobile Faraday bags, crossbody bags, laptop bags, and even women's handbags, or opt for the optimum protection with a ballistic backpack, combining cutting-edge Faraday technology with a ballistic 3A Kevlar for the ultimate protection and preparedness. Now you can also protect from EMF with their top-notch EMF beanies and blankets, shielding you from some of the most harmful frequencies in our environment. Whatever your needs are, Escape Zone has you covered, and their range is perfect for personal use, family use, or even as a gift for someone you truly care about. Visit escapezone.com/pulse and protect you and your loved ones today. That's escapezone.com/pulse. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Please remember to follow us on Rumble if you're not already. Zeee Media is the channel to do that. Make sure you follow, give us your thoughts in the comments, and also like the broadcast. It really helps us out. Another way you can help us out is by subscribing to Rumble Premium. As content creators on the platform, that does assist us, and also you get the ad-free experience while supporting a free speech platform. So go ahead and do that today. If you want us to be able to continue our independent journalism, please do support our sponsors. Their links are in the description below. Fantastic people who actually care about the future of humanity and have a lot on offer. So visit their links in the description. We will see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Good night.